Time to go.
Introducing National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk programming that you can access 24/7. For the premier sports talk experience, tap into our Roku channel. Start your mornings with Mac and Jack covering all the weekend sports action. Then pour a cup and enjoy all the sports you can drink on the Coffee and Sports podcast. At midday, talk sports from east to west on the Coast to Coast podcast. Followed at night by some hot girl talk with Prim and Proper Sports featuring Sonia Pearson. Talk boxing on the Gloved Fist. Yankee fans tune in for Start Spreading the News. And there's more on the College Sports Huddle and Sports Scope with Robert Butler. There are 20 podcasts in all and 70 weekly shows giving us a 3.4-star viewer rating. To find us on Roku TV, search for National Streaming Sports on the Roku search bar. Click on the logo and you're in. National Streaming Sports, live and on-demand sports talk for America.
Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Morning Big Sports Show. I hope everyone's doing great. Of course, got Keith Engel, James Martin, Jack Hirsch, B. Strilla, Brian Arndt, of course, and I am Sonia Pearson. I hope everybody's doing great. Happy first day of June. Happy official halfway of the year and all that good stuff. Of course, all our shows dedicated to Mac McGrath. Still thinking of you, Miss Linda. And of course, make sure you all download the Roku app, follow, subscribe, share it, and all that good stuff. I don't want to say much to the chagrin because it's really not the chagrin. The Knicks are at home today. That's all I'm going to say. Good morning, David.
Well, they would have been home anyway. I'd like to point that out. Not a good.
I mean,
that's
a full glass.
It's fair. I know it wouldn't have been home either way. Not a good showing. It's not. Look at the Pacers. They're a better team. They're a deeper team. Knicks had no answer for Siakam at all most of the series, except for maybe one game.
Mm-hmm.
The Knicks got some work to do. The benches were deeper on the Indianapolis side. Knicks, again, perspective. I've talked about this a couple times. 3 weeks ago, if we said the Knicks would lose in Game 6 of the Finals, Knicks fans would have been very happy. But now we're disappointed, and we'll see how the rest of the. It's very important to see how things go forward. This reminds me a little bit of 90. Help me out. 97. No, 93. 93 or 4, whatever year it was, with OJ Chase and all that. The Knicks lost in Game 6 of the Finals that year, and you thought, they'll be back. Well, they didn't get back for a long, long time. 7 more years, and it wasn't basically the same team. There's a lot of work to do here. Art needs to go back to the bench. I think the bench needs to be strengthened, and we'll see what happens. But to me, it's not necessarily a disappointing season. You need to continue taking steps forward. We saw that we've seen that with the Thunder up close too, right? So we saw it with the Celtics. We saw it with a lot of teams throughout history, and it's disappointing, but not earth-shattering in my mind.
Well, you mentioned Siakam, of course, MVP of the Eastern Finals. Congratulations to him. I don't know, guys. What are your thoughts on the game? Collectively, good morning to you, Richard, and to you, David, as well. Thank you so much for joining us.
By the way, as the rest of these guys comment after I just commented, is Siakam one of the most underrated guys in the league? Because I never, ever seem to hear about him until playoffs.
He's an NBA champion. People don't realize he was really good up there in Toronto. He's just bounced around the league a few teams here and there, but look, he's found a home with the Pacers. But yeah.
I'm the same way, though. I hadn't heard too much of him either. Now he's a household name.
For sure.
Yeah, I don't think he's a household name, Sonia. I don't think fans.
He is in this household.
MVP of the Eastern, so he is today.
Siakam was known in Toronto, though. He was well known.
He's MVP
all-star player. He just happened to fall off a little bit, and now he's bounced back. I think that's what it boils down to. He's bounced back a little bit.
He's a low-grade superstar.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, he's a household name today because he's MVP of this series.
Truth.
He's a household name here, and there was a few adjectives before his name a lot of times. Last
New York. Hey. The question I want to ask you, Keith.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, B. You got it.
Just real quick. I'm sorry there, James. The question I want to ask, do you think Thibodeau is going to come back next year?
Absolutely, but it's fickle. They get off to a bad start. Let's just say they start 18-24 next year. The lice is going to get really thin really quick.
Oh.
I don't see that happening. I think they'll still be good next year. I think Rose will make, hopefully, the right changes. Again, there's got to be some changes on this team. Josh Hart, I love Josh Hart, but he's much better off the bench. He disappeared except for one game in this whole series, and he killed the Knicks. Towns has played well, then he didn't play well. He shoots too much from deep. He's really this is a good team that still needs some tweaks. And I hope it's a stepping stone. We'll find out though. If it's not a stepping stone, Thibodeau will be in trouble early next year.
One thing I wanted to say, which you just mentioned, the last thing you mentioned about Towns, he could play a lot more inside if he wanted to. And not only could he play there, he could dominate. Because when you get the opportunity to drive in, there's just nobody that can stop him. He's a big guy, man.
We talked about it Friday. He goes to the hoop. There's not on this team. There was nobody that could stop him. So
I mean, what's the deal? I mean, I understand that's his game. He can play. He can shoot threes. He actually makes them. And that's a lot of bigs today. I mean, that's just the game it is now. But man, boy, if he could just if they knew that the advantage that they had, just rest him down low in the post, man. Nobody could handle him. He's an excellent player down there. They refuse to do it.
Great point.
Well, one thing, of course, with the Pacers comes the whole Tyrese Halliburton's dad's thing. They had a free pops campaign. They decided to let him back in. Apparently, there's some outlets out there that said basically he grabbed a trophy. I mean, is that a vetted? I'm looking to see that. I don't see that as main headlines. But I saw that he grabbed a trophy basically from the final.
I know he's been in the building the last two games. I didn't see anything about the trophy. I was trying to look for it when we started the show because James had mentioned it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, they allowed him to get to these playoffs, but I mean, Jack, you and I talked about this when it first happened. Like, what was the appropriate punishment for that? And they banned him a few games. I guess they had a change of heart once the team advanced to the series, because when they first issued this, they were saying this is, indefinitely. So we thought at least the duration of the season.
Well, you got to look at him like any other parent. You don't want a parent of one of the players running on the court when the game's over and starting to celebrate. I mean, where's it going to stop? Is the team going to win the World Series and someone's dad is going to be in the pile of the players jumping up and down? I mean, come on. That's the whole thing about it. But when it's a star player, there's a certain slack. I remember Shannon Sharp said on a show a while ago about LeBron James. LeBron James, just for fun, he joined the layup line of his son, before a game. Mm-hmm. And it's the great LeBron James. So maybe the players would have been honest. They would have been in awe. And Shannon Sharp was very close to LeBron James personally, called him out on it. He said, look, you shouldn't be doing that. You're a parent, you should be in the stands. So you got to kind of draw the line. What are we going to have Tom Brady, if his son supposedly plays a little quarterback, he's going to come out on the field and start tossing with the other quarterbacks?
That'd be okay. That'd be okay with me.
Mr. Halliburton might be a very nice man. I don't know him personally. He had a bad moment that he apologized for. Okay, fine. But he should be given no extra access. But when it's a star player, the teams kind of put up with it. Remember, who won the championship? Jokic's brothers are lifting, Mike Malone in the air, and they're getting involved in the celebration. Because it's Jokic, you don't tell him no. Your brothers are banned. But if it's a lesser guy, if it's the 10th guy, if it's one of the guys all the way at the end of the bench and his family comes out on there, anyone, you make it clear it's unacceptable. So there's a double standard.
I just thought of this as we're talking. Think about if the Knicks had won this series in the Garden, and it's not family, but all the celebrities who are on the court the entire game, by the way, Every time there's a timeout, you see all these celebrities just standing around on the court, basically. I wonder what would have happened in New York if we would have had all those guys, Spike and, Ben Stiller, all the big Jerry Seinfeld, all these big names who go to Knicks games when they're winning, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you would have seen the same kind of scene.
Well, Spike goes all the time. I would give Spike a waiver, actually, because he's been going for like decades. The money he's been spending, and it's like Spike. You talk about an honorary doctorate. Spike's an honorary Knick. You could give him that title, with all the money he spent, and the same way Jack Nicholson with the Lakers. It's a similar thing.
Well, maybe, but listen, I'm thinking about starting to buy Spike's wardrobe. He looked really like something last night. What was that he was wearing?
Yes, ridiculous. And good morning to you, Rochelle. I mean, just ridiculous. The one in the previous game when he was wearing the orange and blue stripes, I didn't know if he was a globetrotter or what.
We know who Spike Lee is, right? He doesn't really need to call attention to himself. I don't think like that. So
I don't know, but I mean, this series wrapped up. I'm a little bummed. You probably can hear it in my voice. I'm actually sad. I mean, I know it's kind of delaying and inevitable. We talk about it all the time when teams are 3-1 down and 2-4 down and all that stuff. But I still just had hope, at least around the hype for the team. Of course, the Pacers defeated them. They're advancing to the NBA Finals, and they will face the Oklahoma City Thunder. This game is going to start, I think, June 5th, which is this week. And so they have a few days off here before the next series kicks off. And, of course, congratulations to Pascal Siakam, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, for his leadership with the Pacers. Now, let's go over to some MLB news. Dodgers dominate the Yankees.
Can I say one thing real quick on the NBA before you move on? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I want to say kudos to the TNT doing the NBA. Yeah. TNT's done a great job with the NBA.
Oh, yes.
5 years. I don't watch pregame shows. They're the best. The best pregame show or postgame show or whatever in all of sports. They're going to go to ESPN, but I guarantee it won't be the same show over there. I guarantee it.
Yeah, I'm sad about that. Ernie, Shaq, of course, Kenny, the crew. I mean, it's just really sad. I couldn't believe when they first talked about moving them over to ESPN, and I don't see the same energy, and they really had captivated the fans. It was like, just look, you felt like you were in their living room right there with them, because they personalized the commentary so much, and it was mixed with humor and fun, and it's just going to be a huge void when the season kicks off next season. Yes, Jack.
To help me out here with this new setup with them joining ESPN, is it the same exact crew? Are they going to add anyone in? Is Stephen A. going to be added? And I can't imagine them leaving Stephen A. out altogether. And then Charles Barkley indirectly called Stephen A. clown, recently. He was talking about, that's all they talk about, the all-time best players, and he kind of...
He did.
I'm just kind of wondering the chemistry over there, because the
they
guys
do that.
doing the show at ESPN, are they going to have two different sets of teams? So how are they going to work this out?
I don't think they've decided that. If they should not add to this team. They shouldn't. If they put Stephen Smith on this panel, it's going to be a totally different show and
dynamic all around.
They're unfiltered, and that's what my fear is, that they're going to be capped a little bit when they go to ESPN. ESPN is definitely a different feel over there, but they were definitely unfiltered. And things like Charles Barkley talking about the big women in San Antonio. I don't think you're going to hear that on ESPN. It's just crazy stuff that they would let come out of their mouth against each other. It was just so funny. It's just, you couldn't help. I mean, Ernie was such a great moderator. It's like he keeps everybody down, but he joins in and throws in his little shade as well. It's just, I don't know. It's just, I love that show. I couldn't wait for that. Like, I hate to watch some of the games that they have to call. I mean, or they play. I just go turn on the TV when it's time for the game to end and go watch them, because they're pure comedy.
Well, you're not going to be able to find the games either next year. It's going to get like MLB and the NFL. The games are going to be all over the dial, or whatever you want to call it these days. The dial is.
But you went way back. The dial.
said the dial. Yes, I did say it.
Jeez. It made me, I thought I was 9 for a second.
That's all right. I had a flashback, I guess, for a second.
Those are the best flashbacks. Yeah, Bistrilla.
No, I was just talking about the dial. I was doing the dial thing.
Yeah, let's not forget the antenna. I mean,
That
of
was a
course,
remote.
I don't know. I hope they don't bring Stephen A on there, Jack, because like everybody's saying, he does create a different dynamic. I'm not a super fan of Stephen A. He's kind of loud and obnoxious and rude, and he doesn't really bring the fun. He's more abrasive in his delivery at times, and I think the crew is just too funny. It might, I don't know. Maybe it could make for some more drama on the set if they did bring him. Maybe he'd have some friction, and fans would love that.
I don't know. Is he abrasive? Maybe he gets a little bit of a bad knock.
You guys have a similar
He
personality.
tries to create a little controversy, tries to create a buzz. You can't put him down for that completely because you want a lot of talk going on and you want people being interested. You want people watching. But it's like a team on the court, the chemistry with the broadcast team. Like James just said, are they going to be capped now? Is Barkley going to be say a little less? Is Shaq going to say a little less? But I'll tell you, Shaq and Barkley do speak out. If they feel they're being capped, you better believe when they have a bite to eat together, if they do, they're going to discuss it and they're going to go gangbusters on the air out of nowhere and surprise the production team, the ESPN, because they have a contract. So they're not going to be, I think, in fear of getting fired. So we're going to see what goes down.
When they first lost the package, TNT lost the basketball package. Charles said he was retiring. He wasn't even going to come back. So
Ernie's retiring, isn't he?
I'm not sure, to be quite honest. I thought
Who did you say, B?
Ernie. I thought Ernie was retired.
Yeah, I thought so too.
I didn't get that impression last night. Maybe. I mean, his remarks were a little different than the rest of them at the end of the show last night. And he didn't drop any F-bombs like Shaq and Kenny did, which was kind of odd. But maybe he is. I'll have to check that out. I like Ernie. He's one of the best moderators I've seen.
He is. They said that people were asking, was he mixed? And it's so funny because I never thought about that until I think it was not this game, but the one before. They showed like so they had this show that came on that basically was a behind the scenes. It was called Going Inside or something, the name of the show. And they aired it after game 3. And they showed like all the background stuff, then with the cameraman, et cetera, et cetera. And they were saying like one of the letters they had gotten was people were asking, was Ernie like, biracial, because they felt like, they were referring to him as brother and stuff like that. And I was like, you know what? I never thought about that, but I guess he could be,
I hadn't even given it a thought. I'd never.
Yeah, he said it was one of the funniest things because everybody was talking about how cool he was and stuff. I was like, okay, y'all are hilarious, but yeah. All right, so he's very cool, and we wish the best of them. Hopefully, they get it together. I hope it's not so chaotic like Keith is saying, because having to go all over and look for these games is very frustrating as a fan. It's hard when you got to download and pay for so many different streaming services to capture any sports. And that just seems to be the mainstream of across the board. Jack, I remember you and I talked about that, how frustrating that can be a while back, maybe several months ago now, when we were talking about the NFL season going on Peacock. I saw one of the NBA games on True Story, y'all, which is a crime channel. And I'm like, come on, I guess whoever pays for the rights is getting it.
That's what it is. The NFL throws one playoff game. It was, what was it? A Chief Dolphin game, for example, a first round playoff game where you're going to have to pay Peacock, a fee and cancel it. It's things are really going to be bad if it gets to the point where the Super Bowl is pay-per-view or the AFC and NFC championship games. Then it's going to be a little bit of
it's coming.
But
it's
it
coming.
hasn't gotten to that point. I remember, the great boxing judge Harold Letterman told me in the 1990s that the Super Bowl's definitely going to be pay-per-view sometime in the coming years, and it never got to that point. So, in a way, we're addicted. We have to see every darn game. Think of it that way too. Unless it's your team, if it's the Panthers for you, you want to see the game.
I was just thinking that I'm not paying unless it's the Panthers, and I might not pay then if they're looking real bad.
I would say this is a travesty because in basketball in particular, because you're going to have games everywhere that needs to be paid for, and you accept load management. Why would I pay for services when I want to see stars, especially marquee stars, come to my small market and play, and they decide to take off? Why would I want to pay for that?
And I like how J Train always says, I'm gonna put it out there. J Train told me that the way he does streaming services is he'll find his favorite shows and then he'll go ahead and pay for it or get the free trial and binge watch them all. And then when it comes time for the renewal, he'll cancel it.
That's what we do. Same thing. Yeah.
Yep. So I guess that's gonna be what's happening if they put these on the Super Bowl out there. We'll all be paying for just that game.
Technically, when you think about it, unless you're watching on a digital antenna, you're paying for it now. You're already paying for everything that you watch. So unless you're watching on a digital antenna, and that's where you get Fox, ABC, NBC, whatever. So,
Keith, I'll tell you right now, I'm the cheapest in regard to that. I only thing I have that I pay for right now is the NFL Plus that service that we use pay like
$6.99 or $14.99. Yep.
Yeah, and that's it. Movies I'm watching Tubi are for free.
I love Tubi.
I gotta get with you, J Train, so I can condense some of my streaming service. I'm gonna have you look at them and see what you can recommend. I'm not gonna have a lot of time in August anyway when classes start back, so I need to just downsize. All right, guys, let's move along to the MLB. Dodgers dominates, and I'm talking about dominate the Yankees, you guys. 7 RBIs in an 18-2 rout of the Yankees. LA's most runs ever, Jack, versus New York. And they said it was so bad that Shohei actually was reportedly taking a nap, bless you, James, in the dugout during the comfortable lead.
Yeah, the game got away from the Yankees immediately in the first inning. They gave up 4 runs to down 4-0. And ironically, it was 4-0, 2 outs, and the Dodgers could have added to that lead with the bases loaded, but Ohtani strikes out. I mean, how do you like that? But it didn't matter. I was being a little sarcastic before the show, saying that Judge should get the MVP for the game because he hit 2 homers. The Yankees lost 18-2. But I was being sarcastic because the MVP over a season has been given to players who've been on last place teams. So for this one game, I tried to make a point. What a travesty it would have been to give Judge an MVP award. But it's one of those things. I mean, the Dodgers are the class of baseball. If everyone gets healthy, they have it all together. And they're going to get players back like, Blake Snell, a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. And it's in all cylinders are going. Mookie Betts is out.
Yeah, he's out with that toe fracture.
Dodgers are going to be hard to beat. I mean, they might cool off a little at times during the season, but they're going to be hard to beat when all is said and done. I mean, they're so stacked from top to bottom. They're bullpen all over.
I'd rather lose games this way. I've said this for a long time. I'd rather lose games like this than lose a heartbreaker in 13 innings, 3-2 on a.
Yeah, that's rough.
With the biggest thing I took away from this game from a Yankee standpoint as a negative, it's negative to lose to the Dodgers 2 games in a row as it is when you're trying to overcome the last year's result in the World Series. But yesterday, Will Warren, who'd been pitching really well for the Yankees, I think the last 4 weeks anyway, got hammered, as Jack mentioned, in the first inning. And that worries me from a confidence standpoint from a young player like Will Warren, who's really been making strides recently. And this could set him back a little bit. Hopefully not. So,
well, what bothered me a little more the day before that, Max Fried, who'd been the best pitcher in baseball until this weekend.
Yeah.
You're hoping he'd make a little bit of a statement, shut the Dodgers down. But, he pitched his only bad game of the season on Friday.
Yeah, I try not to even bring him up. It's still heartbreaking with him with the Braves. I mean, this team, this route, and like Keith said, I know me as a fan, when I actually go to baseball games, I try to go to a couple a year, kind of in honor of my dad. I don't want to sit there for no 10 innings. The game is already long enough as is with a close game, and especially if it's super hot during the summer, Like those are the times I usually go at the end of August, and just to lose. They went ahead. I wonder if fans, I didn't watch this game. I wonder if fans started clearing the benches early. I mean, Shohei taking a nap is very loud to me about how boring it was.
Well, players have been known to take naps going into the locker room, for games when they don't think they're going to get in.
Wow.
Kind of a little time. And I mean, I just read something. I don't know, is it true? Mike Mussina had a perfect game going for the Yankees in the 9th inning, 2 outs, and Carl Everett was asked to pinch hit, and he said he was taking a nap and he was woken up. He was in the locker room and he ran out quickly. You hear. I don't know whether I believe those stories. I mean, how can you actually sleep in the locker room, knowing everyone's going to go in there?
I wouldn't doubt that with Carl Everett, actually.
At least it's off camera. I mean, in the dugout is just kind of loud, but hey, I digress.
Pan for A.J. Brown and the Eagles when he's on the sideline reading a book. I mean,
he's
it's something.
himself.
It's the same thing. It's if you're bored, you're bored. I mean,
it's a human thing. Or taking pictures, like the Panthers were. We were undefeated. Camera time. All right, guys. Keith, I know you got to run here shortly, but before you do, we got about a couple of minutes before you have to hop off, and then we'll do our midway break for the Huddle Sports Network here at the half point. We got some NFL news. Of course, today is June 1st, and so we're looking at these salary caps, diminishing these guys, shipping around some people, whatever it takes to bring these caps down, despite Roger Goodell raising the cap during the offseason. Folks still don't have enough money. So this is cut trade day. And so, Keith, any news in the Patriots locker room about who you guys will be acquiring or moving around?
Yeah, watch out for Stephon Diggs this week, as I think you may see some news about Stephon Diggs. It's very possible he will not be a Patriot.
Wow.
It's not a sure thing, but there's more things that have been coming to light recently than just his party and the pink dust.
I don't think
and Cardi B,
of course. Pay him, no. They're going to have to pay him. I mean,
I don't care. I don't want. It doesn't matter. We talk about this all the time. If you got a bad character in your locker room, I don't care what you got to pay to get rid of them. Get rid of them, because especially when you got a young team like the Patriots, you don't need that type of leadership or anti-leadership in the locker room.
You're making him a leader. No one made him a leader.
I didn't.
You're saying you don't need that leadership.
You don't need a guy like that in your locker room, a veteran who should be leading young guys. That's what I'm saying. I didn't say he was a leader. If I did, I misspoke. I don't want that guy attempting to lead my young players, or even if it's just by example.
And he running around with Cardi B, who's not even divorced yet. They taking pictures and everything. Now he got pink crystals. He's more concerned about his off-field presence right now. I mean, I don't know. If he's gonna miss
I still didn't see the pink crystal thing.
I saw it
pink bag. I don't.
There's a piece of black tape and the bottom was pink. I didn't see no powder, no substance in it. You don't know what.
I don't know what it was. Yeah, that's why I want to wait till that comes to light. I mean, just drug testing. If it's
what were you saying?
It's probably nothing, but I also believe OTAs were going on at the same time. So
yeah, I saw a video that Football Talk Bo Crouch put up on his TikTok, and it looks like a Ziploc of some sort, and you can see something pink, but I don't know if it's pink, foam or what it is. You can't see individual crystals, but everybody's got a camera. Everybody's got a camera.
Maybe it's just that. What's that stuff you shoot out of a can when you're a kid?
Silly
string. Maybe it's pink.
All right, guys, we appreciate Keith hopping by today. Keith Engel, he's got his stream of consciousness coming up here at 8:30. Stay tuned. Hop on over and support him when he gets off. Keith, have a great day and a great week.
Have a good week. Bye-bye. All
right, guys. Right about now, we're going to go ahead for the halfway point and take our break with the Huddle Sports Network. Thank you guys for joining us so much this morning. Give us about 56 seconds while we run this promo for that team. For that affiliate. And we will be right back with you guys here in about 56 seconds. Just stay tuned with us. Let me make sure I got it. Oh, boy.
I'm taking that.
I don't have it. Give me a second, guys. There it is. All right, hang tight.
Yeah, yo, it's game time. Ain't no messing around. Huddle Sports Network, the best in town. From NFL rumors to the latest trends, we got all your sports. Just tune in, my friends. Catch us on Roku, Fire Stick, take your pick. Facebook, YouTube, where the action's slick. Daily shows that drop like a bomb. From 10 to 11, it's Ken and Ken. Stay calm. Huddle up, catch the vibe, feel the rush. Get your news, get your fills in the clutch. Over 27 podcasts, we breaking it down. Join the team, Huddle Sports, wear the crown. Live every weekday, it's how we roll. Lions Talk with Jeremy B, we taking a stroll. From 11 to 12, don't miss a beat. We break down the game, make the info sweet. The Daily Huddle Podcast, noon to 1. CST Zone, we're just having fun. Toss your doubts, we bring the facts. Tune into the Huddle.
Jack, I know that's your music, Jack.
That's definitely it. All right. So this is the second half of the show. Good morning. Welcome everybody coming into the Sunday Morning Sports Show on National Streaming Sports. We're talking, wrapping up MLB, segueing into the NFL right now. Of course, today, June 1st, and everybody's moving around. Everybody, Jack, what's going on in the Jets locker room?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not in the Jet locker room. I'm not like Pax used to be on this show and pretend he has the inside, Philadelphia Eagles.
You guys wonder why he supported Stephen A. earlier.
I guess the latest Jet talk indirectly is the 49ers picking up Bryce Huff from the Eagles. Now that I mentioned the Eagles, because Robert Salah, who was his head coach at the Jets, is now the defensive coordinator for the 49ers. So he apparently feels he can get Bryce Huff back to being what he was when he was on the Jets. I mean, he was basically a situational pass rusher, but he had a lot of pressures, He's very good, pressuring the quarterback, from the edge. And sometimes it's environment where a player is. Some players perform better in one environment than the other. And this isn't meant as a dig for you, Sonia, with the Panthers. It's not at all. If you take Baker Mayfield and Sam Darnold, they couldn't perform as the Panther quarterback, but you put them in a different environment and they perform. But now that Sam Darnold, who performed magnificently for the most part until the end as the Viking quarterback, is he going to be able to perform in the Seattle Seahawks environment? Sometimes that's all it takes, just changing, the player's environment.
I mean, I agree with that wholeheartedly. And good morning to you, Robert Butler. Of course, giving you a LOL, Jack. We see how you actually could back Stephen A. Not being abrasive, just by when you first came on and said you're not in the locker room. But it's definitely all love. That is big news. But even bigger news is Sean McVay is admitting that the Rams are considering a reunion with Jalen Ramsey. Even though they just traded him last season, they are already talking about bringing him back. Now, the discussions haven't started yet, but this is according to Yahoo Sports. So, by the time it makes it there, it's kind of mainstream. That's really bigger news. Rams and Jalen Ramsey reunion. LA Chargers. He went to the Dolphins last year. That could be big. And so much other stuff. I'm going to go around real quick and just, since Jack doesn't have any Jets news, we don't have any news in the Panthers locker room as of yet. J-Train, you guys got anything going on in the NO?
No, just OTAs and quarterback battle. That's about it. There's talk that they may try to sign Asante Samuel Jr. as
my gosh. What?
Possibly. Yeah, he visited this last week. And so, but because of the neck injury, I don't think he'll sign until July.
Yeah,
but there's consideration. So we'll see.
I will say this real quick before we move on. Even though we're not moving anybody around, the rookies that we got, T-Mac, J.C. Horn Jr., Jimmy Horn Jr., I always want to say J.C. Horn, in the locker room are turning heads. They're saying they're really getting it done down there at the OTAs in Carolina. And then Trayvon Mooring. We have a solid locker room. They're going to be coming in, helping out Bryce, helping out Xavier. Unfortunately, Jonathan Brooks won't be coming back. You guys know that. He's out for the season with this. Tommy Tremble, our tight end, got injured, however, had back surgery. but he's expected to start his rehab soon, and then that way he'll be able to come back to the regular season. Hopefully, back surgery is pretty solid. But we've been practicing this week with the Houston Texans and OTAs, and of course, our salary cap situation. We're looking at. We haven't signed all of our picks. We haven't given everybody their official rookie contract yet, including Nick Scorton and Trevor Etienne, which his brother's already in the NFL. So we don't know what's going to go on with our secondary depth or with the remaining cap space. Bistrilla, what's going on in the Lions locker room?
Well, Alex Anzalone is not participating in OTAs. Neither is Frank Ragnow. Both want restructured contracts.
Wow.
So we'll see what's going on. It sounds like they're still in good communication with the front office, though. So that doesn't seem like to be too much of a problem. And this usually happens a lot of times with every team during OTA. Somebody's sitting out so they can get a little bit more money. Mm-hmm. And I think both of them deserve to get a raise, basically. Frank Ragnow is basically the anchor of that offensive line. And Alex Anzalone has been getting better and better every year. And he's making less than Derek Barnes, who, in my opinion, is not the best linebacker in the world. So I would be kind of like, hey, he got that much, and I'm making less than him, and I'm the middle linebacker, and I'm the guy that came in there and did all this. So, yeah, I would be, trying to hold out for a little bit more money. But other than that, everything's been going good. Dan Campbell said Jamison Williams has been really mature, bringing his maturity into the game, and he has been doing really good during OTAs. Again, it's OTAs. You know how I feel about that. It's just OTAs. But it's all in all, the Lions are in pretty good shape at the moment.
By the way, before I go to Jack, because I know he's going to say, I just realized your outfit, Bistrilla. I love it. I love the Detroit Tigers polo and the matching cap, the fitted.
Yeah, I had to wear this today because the Tigers are lost the game to the Kansas City Royals, which I didn't think was going to be possible because they were playing awful baseball lately. But they had a gem last night. They won 1-0. Kansas City, that is. They had a gem last night. It was a good pitching duel.
Coming out of the fan today.
We're gonna see if we can get this 2-1 win the series today.
Okay. Yeah, Jack, you were saying.
Yeah, no, you were mentioning before I had no news from the Jets camp. No one has a lot of news from any camp in reality. I mean, with the Lions, if you ask me about the Lions, I'd say Aiden Hutchinson rounding into form, being ready for the season. That's the biggest news. I think that's the biggest single storyline right now with the Lions. And with the Jets, if I had to say, it would be Garrett Wilson. Aaron Glenn saying he wants them touching the ball all the time, because Garrett Wilson was kind of held prisoner a little with Aaron Rodgers. And now Garrett Wilson's going to have a chance to maybe blossom and show he's one of the best receivers in the NFL. But keep in mind, yes, Justin Fields throwing him the ball. And, Justin Fields isn't a pure passer per se. He uses his legs a lot. And the Jets don't also have a primary, receiver at the other end of the field. So we don't know how that's going to work out, whether Garrett Wilson's really going to have a chance to shine. But you didn't mention the big storyline on this show. The big NFL news.
The Steelers. Is it the Steelers?
Yeah.
Jonnu Smith, the Pittsburgh Steelers are reportedly in trade talks to acquire veteran tight end Jonnu Smith from the Dolphins, which would reunite Smith with his offensive coordinator, Arthur Smith. This was right after the Steelers already got DK Metcalf and signed Robert Woods. Is that the news you're talking about, Jack?
Well, you're getting close. Close. I mean,
you tell us the news.
Yeah, with Aaron Rodgers. I mean,
that's why he ain't going. He's not there yet.
I mean, why isn't he there? The question is we can't read his mind because he really doesn't know whether he wants to play. Then you can't blame him. But is he trying to miss part of training camp, the OTAs, okay?
Mm-hmm.
He feels he can get ready on his own. I don't know. And should we give him the benefit of the doubt? A veteran quarterback like him who's been around forever, should we maybe give him the benefit of the doubt that he really doesn't need these OTAs because it's a long season? You don't want to burn out. You want to have a lot left at the end. Is he maybe pacing himself? Should we maybe give him the benefit of the doubt if that is his thought? Yeah, I'm going to join you. I'll be ready for the season. Trust me.
I'll let the guys answer first on this one.
But one thing I just want to say to you, Jack, that Aiden Hutchinson has been the spotlight all through the off season. So, but these are more important issues because we know Aiden Hutchinson is back and they have confidence in him. Then, they're going to probably let him play a few games and see how he performs before they extend his contract. And that's all said and good and done because everybody's on the same pace there. But with Alex Anzalone and Frank Ragnow not being at OTAs, like I said, Frank Ragnow is the anchor of that offensive line. That's big news. Alex Anzalone is big news as well as with not coming to the OTAs. He is also the quarterback of the linebackers. So those are two specific players that we're trying to watch to make sure everything goes good with both those two because they deserve to get paid. But it's all the process. And when you miss OTAs, especially when you've been there all the time, it's kind of nerve to the team. It's a little bit of off center.
With the Lions, is this year extra important? Because if they don't go to the Super Bowl this year, their window's definitely closing. Definitely, because it would be 3 years in a row that they could have gotten there. And I'm including this year as a year that they definitely can get to the Super Bowl. If they don't, I can't see things getting better next year.
I don't think they have a reason to think that the Super Bowl window is closing for them. I think that prospectively the next year, if they don't make it to the Super Bowl this year, there's not much of a chance for them to make it. I'm not saying they can't go into the playoffs again the following year. They have a young team. They're going to have to pay a couple players in a couple years, but other than that, they have a young team. So I'm not worried about all that. As long as they got Dan Campbell as coach, they got the same front office, they retain some of the same players, we're fine. However, this is the 5th year. And I said by the 5th year, Dan Campbell should have to, at his 5th year, there should be a Super Bowl. Or I feel that he's failing as a coach.
Like the 49er fan talking, the window's not closed a year ago. We're okay. But the 49ers have gotten to a couple of Super Bowls. And the Lions, it's not even winning the Super Bowl. They've never been there. To just get there 1 year, that's got to be the goal. And once you're there, obviously you want to win it. But
I want to go back to the original question here. First of all, we are less than 95 days now from the NFL season. And Jack, you did bring up, do we give Aaron Rodgers a break or not for missing these OTAs? He's a veteran. J-Train, what are your thoughts on this? Because, we know he's a veteran, but there's been veterans before that have played and they've gone to OTAs. They may not participate 100%, but they're at least present.
I agree to some extent that you would give a player some leeway. But Aaron Rodgers is probably the one that I don't give any type of leeway to because of just what he's giving you every year that he's with his teams, his former teams. We were talking about Green Bay. We're talking about the Jets. It just seems like shenanigans. Just a whole bunch of hoopla in the offseason that you really don't want. You don't want distractions when you're trying to get your team in the right direction, and he brings the distractions, not whether it's directly or indirectly. He may not have caused it, but there's some things he's done. Like going back to the whole trip to Egypt thing, when last year, that was a big problem. That was an issue. I just think that you could come and say, hey, I agree to come play with you, but maybe because of the respect and your age, maybe you may come to some sort of agreement and say, let me skip the OTAs, let me skip minicamp. I'll be there for training camp. Let's do that. But to have a team in limbo like this is kind of, a little wishy-washy. It's a little wishy-washy.
The season starts in September. I don't give a darn about a June trip. It's not affecting something 4 days. It's a perception thing because they've got to listen to people like us talking about it. That's all it is. It doesn't affect the team at all. It doesn't affect how they perform.
I mean, it does, in my opinion, because it could diminish morale. You got rookies out there that are looking forward to meshing with this team. I mean, some people may be just over it and they know how to deal with him and tolerate him. But my thing is, it's a persona for me, that your persona is bigger than the rest of your teammates, that you feel like you're entitled not to participate. Now, it's one thing to go out there and say, okay, hey guys, I'm gonna toss the ball around a little bit, get myself acclimated with the team. But to completely just exit stage left and you're on some mushroom sniffing campaign across the globe is just it's a slap to the face. It literally shows a sense of entitlement, in my opinion. And I don't care if it was Bryce Young that did that. I would have the same opinion. This doesn't have anything to do with my disdain for Aaron Rodgers. It's the fact that, and let me be clear, I didn't have a disdain for Aaron Rodgers until he did this with the Jets, Jack. And I'm surprised you're more defensive of him, knowing that he basically shat upon your team like that.
No, there's no complaining in the Jet locker room about Aaron Rodgers. We haven't heard any reports coming out that players were upset with his attitude or any former coaches. He got along fine with everyone there. It's the perception of his personality. He's got kind of a unusual personality, put it that way. And when someone has an unusual personality, they're fair game. I mean, are we going to say his stance on COVID shots could enter into, in quarterbacking the team? You're mentioning, these rookies and morale. These rookies are trying to make the team. You think in June they give a darn Aaron Rodgers isn't there?
If they're supposed to be catching plays from him, they absolutely do.
In June, they're sparring partners at that point in the season.
Okay, so when does he come in? When is it okay for him to come in?
When it's mandatory. When it's mandatory. If it's voluntary, no player has to report. That's why it's called voluntary. And I'm tired of people complaining on voluntary workouts. A player has got to show. Make it mandatory. Then if he misses it, okay, let the team take action. But it's June already.
So it's a no call, no show. Is that what you're saying? Like, if you're the manager of this team, you don't even know if he's coming or not.
Wait. Priscilla just mentioned the OTAs. A couple of the Lion players didn't show up. Are we going to say they're distraction to the team? What they're doing is so
bad. There's a difference, Jack. They're signed to the team. He's not signed to the team. He's holding them hostage.
Exactly. He's not holding them hostage. He didn't ever told them he was going to sign with them. They're waiting. He said he maybe told them.
Let me tell you,
it's their fault. It's their fault. I'm
going to tell you this. Put himself in this predicament, and the Steelers are the heifer, and Aaron Rodgers is the milker right now. He's milking them like a cow.
That may be all said and well. It's June 1st. You're going to see a lot of action happening this week because trades are going to be done, contracts are going to be signed. If Aaron Rodgers cannot miss training camp. That's a must. If he misses any part of training camp or they don't sign up by training camp, he's not going to be on that team. They need because the plays have to be altered due to different quarterbacks out there. Okay, so if they have a particular offense that they're trying to run, and Mason Rudolph is the guy that they're thinking that they're going to have to go to, then that playbook's going to be assigned to Mason Rudolph. If they sign Aaron Rodgers, he's got to be there for all the training camp so he can get those plays under his belts because they're going to have to change some stuff offensively for him because he's a different type of quarterback. But he has to be there. And I believe between now and the starting training camp, they will sign him.
Okay, but he hasn't signed. That's the key thing. He hasn't signed. And you blame Aaron Rodgers if he's trying to pick and choose. Teams cut players all the time. They cut players who've been with them for 10 years because, we can't fit them under the cap. We could get someone a little better. So Aaron Rodgers is entitled to pick and choose. He might be thinking, look, J.J. McCarthy's unproven. He's coming off an injury. We don't know whether he's going to be healthy. that I really would rather go to the Vikings. It's a lot more appealing to him. It might be. That might be his mindset. He might be waiting to see how JJ McCarthy does.
Again, you're basing this, but you're basing this off Aaron Rodgers wanting to be on a team, not the team wanting Aaron Rodgers. Pittsburgh is the only one right now that is ignorant enough to sit there and wait for him and to his every need. There's no other team out there looking for him right now. Minnesota's got their quarterbacks. They already said they're not getting Aaron Rodgers.
Virtually everyone has got their quarterback. I mean, there's no openings for Aaron Rodgers except once the year begins, someone is going to get injured. Unfortunately, and there's going to be an opening at some point during the year. Maybe that's what he's thinking. I'm going to miss training camp. I'm going to work out on my own. I'm going to be ready as soon as the year begins, and something is going to open up somewhere, and that's where he's going to go.
And also retirement's in the back of his mind as well. Yeah. I would say that he's probably 1 foot out the door. If nothing, an ideal situation doesn't open up, if it's not the Steelers and what you just said about some other team, it would have to be a team that lost a drastic situation that was in a position to go to the playoffs.
And the Steelers are in a good situation for him. That's what we should maybe be discussing. I mean, look who's in that division, who they have to compete with. I mean, outside of Cleveland, it's not a good situation.
I mean, in my opinion, I guess if you think about it, it's like he hasn't been hired yet. It's like the equivalent of us going to a job and showing up for their mandatory meetings, and we haven't even been hired yet. So I guess if you look at it like that, why would Aaron Rodgers show up to a team he's not even signed with? My opinion is if there's some type of at least verbal obligation between those two that is in the works, that is pretty much a definite, they just need to iron out or write it out or whatever, then you show up, because you don't want to give them a reason to decide at the last minute, well, we haven't really finalized this contract and we're not going to because we didn't see the effort from you. Yes, you're a veteran. Yes, you're a Hall of Famer, but we need a leader in this locker room and we haven't seen you. And you're a no call, no show. Like, if this is the thing, if it's not mandatory and you're supposedly the leader or going to be the leader, how do they know? You just decide to make your grand entrance like on a whim. Like, we don't know if you're coming or not. We may be sitting there trying to cater stuff for the day for you.
The whole point is he's not signed. So that's irrelevant for whatever face that is. Until he's signed, you can make that case for him. If he was signed already and he wasn't at OTAs, that might be a problem.
I mean, but that's what he's done. He was signed with the Jets.
But he's not signed, though. It doesn't make a difference.
Yeah, but when he was signed with the Jets, he didn't show up.
Well, you see what happened to the Jets after that, though, didn't you? And that's why the Jets don't have Aaron Rodgers no more.
Coach Mike Tomlin is the leader. You don't necessarily need a player who's going to be a leader come in and do this. It's the coach that should be the strongest personality. I understand leadership comes from within the locker room. I get all that, and that's all great. But there's one particular person, who's the leader to any team, and that should be the coach, that should be the manager, unless you have a tremendous personality who you could defer to. And they're not asking Aaron Rodgers to come and be a leader. They need someone to play quarterback. That's all it is. And Rochelle is right. He's not signed, so why the OTAs even an issue?
I think the biggest problem here is that everything is based off of what Aaron Rodgers has done in the past. And he can use that as leverage, but he's not as good as he was. He's not the same player. He's good. He's better than probably 80% of the league, but he's not the top 10. I wouldn't put him in the top 10 as quarterback anymore because he's not there, and he still uses that as leverage, and he could do what he wants. And so, if I'm a team, if I'm the Steelers, I wouldn't have waited on him. I wouldn't have traded back for Mason Rudolph. I would have got another guy. Maybe I probably would have kept Russell Wilson. I don't know what the deal was there. I mean, I understand that you lost 5 or so games, but you're going after you dropped Russell Wilson, who supposedly gave problems to Denver, and you take a guy that's given even more problems to the Jets. I know you're going to say he didn't. There's no
Russell Wilson, and they had Russell Wilson for cheap too because Denver was playing. Good morning, Steve-O.
Well,
they're going to have to pay Rodgers. Yes, exactly. That's another thing. They're going to have to pay him a good bit of money.
I mean, the Steelers are set with a backup plan anyway, so they can afford to wait. Mason Rudolph obviously knows how to run their offense. He's been there a lot of years outside of last year. And then they did draft Will Howard. They, developmental, quarterback who might turn out to be okay, might not. I mean, but so they did address their quarterback situation in the draft, and they have a quarterback with a lot of familiarity running their offense. So it's not like they don't have a backup plan.
Yeah, good morning, Steve-O. He brings up a good point though, Jack. They can't even sign TJ Watt yet. So I don't know what their funds are looking like, down there. But I remember that coming up a few days ago. I think we talked about that on the debate show. The Mac and Jack show real quick, because we were talking about sports news of people holding out for contracts and things of that nature. I mean, this is one of those situations that, in my opinion, the Steelers are the dumbest organization in the league right now for trading away all of their quarterbacks and putting themselves in a position where they have to get somebody that can get them to the playoffs, because you know how they like to say it. They're a non-losing organization for so many seasons. And I don't see them having that same record in the postseason next year with what they currently have.
Yeah, but they said that the year before that, the year before that, the year before that, and they still have winning records. That's a coaching thing.
No, it's non-losing. Non-losing.
That's what Mike Thomas is.
In all fairness to the Steelers, though, the negotiations, you have to negotiate like the TJ Watt thing. I just think that's neither here nor there, because he's going to get his money. They're going to pay him. It's just a matter of negotiating. Yeah.
And then on top of that, it's and where everybody's making this like Aaron Rodgers is the one that's calling the cards. No, he's not.
Yeah.
It's Pittsburgh out there lavishing after him. That's all it is. Because other than that, you don't see anybody else sitting there saying, "Oh, well, we're going to wait until this and that." And they're the only ones talking that language. Nobody else is out there. They're going through their OTAs, going through all their stuff regular like any other team would at this time of the year. They're not worried about Aaron Rodgers. As long as you make Aaron Rodgers relevant, he's going to be relevant. And that's what Pittsburgh's doing. And to that point, that's why I think that's an idiotic decision. They should go with what they got. Let them do what they got to do. If he wants to be on the team, he'll be on the team.
Yeah.
That's all there is.
I don't know. It's one of those situations, as I always say, the verdict is still out on it. Jack, I know you made sure you plugged him in because you're lamenting over him as your
I'd like to
back. We know it. That's why you said
Bryce Young.
Yeah, you know what? Go ahead and get your clinics ready and whatever other apparatuses you need over there, because it's going to be a plummeting. You guys have absolutely nothing in your locker room that we're afraid of. And I need you to know that.
We'll see if Adams on the Rams, see how good he produces with Stafford.
Yeah,
I always think was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers anyway. Sorry. That's just my opinion.
Let me put this plug in before we leave. I always had respect for Aaron Rodgers as a player. He's one of the greatest to ever do it. But when I've had somebody in my team as Drew Brees, has always been respectful to his teammates, always been the first one in the locker room, always the last one to leave. It's just hard for me to have any type of respect for a player that does this, that's in that position. It's just I see polar opposite people in there, and that tells me a lot about it when you do these type of things at that position. That's the number one leadership position. You should be the man, the field general. You should be the one setting the example, and he's really not doing that.
And then plays the victim.
Toxic. You coming in with this negativity already when you come in. What were you saying?
And then plays the victim when it's convenient for him to play the victim like that. I drove it. I got flying all the way across the country. Wasn't even all the way across the country. Come on.
Drew Brees never threw his players under the bus. He always took the blame. It's just I've seen it. That's why I'm saying it's just hard for me to just give this guy a pass like that.
Yeah. I'm sure Jack will find out some more Aaron Rodgers news for our show on tomorrow morning. The Mac and Jack show will be there at 8 a.m. sharp. Shows throughout today. Of course, this will re-air at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Everyone have an amazing day. Jack, Keith Angle, B. Strilla, J Train, great show today as always. And we wish everybody a great day. And you all enjoy your week.